What is going on, guys? Carter here with Edged Mindset. We're taking a look at a fail, a big, fat, disappointing fail of a knife. This is the Intruder from Trivisa Knives, designed by TAS Knives, who is a maker out of Georgia, not the Georgia in the United States, the Georgia that's in Eastern Europe. I have been following his stuff on Instagram for a while now, and it's wild, it's crazy, it's right up my alley. Not really something I think I'm going to buy one of his actual pieces of, but when I saw this collaboration, I was in, baby. I was in. It's under $100. It is crazy looking, and I was so excited to get this knife. I got it in. I started shooting an unboxing. It didn't really work out. I wasn't feeling it. The knife was goofy, and I stopped recording. I got to stop doing that. I need to get like a camera implanted in my brain so that just everything is recorded and I can recover the video and do everything. Because I went on a journey with this knife, baby. This was a wild, wild ride on this thing. So when I opened it up the first time, the action was really, really stiff. Actually, not as stiff as it is right now. It is really stiff. But one thing that I noticed here, let's try to loosen. Oh God, this thing's a mess, bro. It's a mess. And it sucks because I really like the way it looks. Love that blade. It is wild looking. It is spectacular, but it's also fairly practical. Like, it's really not that wild. It is compound ground, really thin back here. It gets a little thicker there, but it's just really cool. You got titanium overlays. You got carbon fiber over steel. It is a crossbar lock. Nice thumb studs. The design on this thing is outstanding, and it is under $100. I bought it with some Christmas money with an Amazon gift card. In my opinion, this is the best coloration that they have, this kind of monochrome gray colored. But they also have orange and I think another one. Really excited to get it, and I opened it up. The action was terribly stiff. Didn't have good action, but at least it was somewhat usable. The blade rubs on the scale. I don't know if you can hear that. Blade rubs on the scale, and you can't, if you try to tighten it up so that it doesn't rub on the scale, then you literally cannot even open this thing up. This was designed super, super poorly. And I'll tell you in a second, like what I think is going on. And it's a pure guess, but it is an egregious mistake. It's also huge. 4.5-inch blade almost. Overall length is like 9 3/4. Love it. Let's do a weight real quick just for people that care about that. It's pretty heavy. It's got steel. You know, it's a beefy, big, heavy boy. 7.5 ounces. So not light at all. The steel is that budget. What is it? 14 CN. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with it. 14C28N steel. I hear it's fine for the price point, but not that great. So open it up. Super stiff. I start trying to mess with it. You know, lighten the pivot screw, and then the blade gets really sloppy. And then I noticed that all of these screws are super loose. So this is about what it was like out of the box. Has side-to-side play. It scrapes up on the scale right here. And these are all, just like they are right now, pretty dang loose. What it seems like is going on. So another odd thing they're doing here, sorry I'm all over the place, is they're using washers in this. Now, I'm a big fan of washers, but it is strange for an overseas knife made in China to use washers nowadays. It's just not that common. Usually you would expect bearings in something like this. It's pretty standard. This one has a little bit of up and down too. I can't take that one off the record, because I have disassembled this thing a couple of times, and it's got a system with the Omega springs where it's got multiple holes to go in, and it could be that I put it in the wrong hole. Insert joke there. I may not have put it in a stiff enough hole to give the access lock enough oomph to go up, even though it feels like it's got enough spring. But one thing I do remember too when I open this up is the crossbar lock was pretty hard to pull down and disengage. It had a lot of tension. I can't remember if it's exactly how it is now. I think it was maybe a little stiffer, because I remember barely being able to do it with a thumb, and now I can kind of do it. So strike that one off the record. Maybe I'll take this apart. I just don't know if anybody cares. It's kind of it's a real pain in the ass to take this thing apart. It uses these barrel spacers that have screws on both sides. And so one of these screws, so you got to start on this side and you take out the pivot, and take these out. But then one of these, I forget which one, this one or this one. I think it's this one. It's this one. This screw won't come out on this side, so it unscrews on that side. It makes it a mess, and it makes it difficult to take apart, and then you have to put it together in a certain order because of the crossbar lock, and it's got all these layers. It's just kind of a pain in the butt. I've taken it apart a few times, but usually lately I've just been taking the blade out and then feeding the pivot through so I don't have to mess with all this stuff. But if I want to tighten up these springs, I've got to take the whole thing apart again. But regardless of if I put this in the wrong place, wrong hole, it should lock up, right? So it's clearly not the best geometry on that lockup because it should still be locking up. You can see where that crossbar lock is. So probably too much of an angle, too slick of a surface. You shouldn't be getting that regardless, I don't think. But what this seems like they did is they designed this whole thing. They did all the measurements and they forgot about the washers. They did all the, how far the barrel spacers need to be in order to fit this together, all this stuff. And then they were like, oh crap, we need to put washers in here. And so then they shoved washers in so that when you tighten all these body screws up, it puts too much pressure on that washer and you can't open the damn thing. That's what it seems like. I even took this apart, took out the washers, sanded them down as much as I could. It's difficult to do because eventually, you can't really, that's what I'm doing. I'm rubbing on sandpaper right there. You can't really keep a grip on it and rub them down, but I polished them up. I rubbed them down. I polished up around the pivot area here, just trying to see if maybe, the coating and maybe the washers being a little rough just didn't quite give it enough clearance to properly sandwich in there and fit. Nope, same issue. If you tighten everything up to where it should be, you can hardly open this damn knife. So it was not designed correctly. Or maybe they did design it for bearings and they were going to mill out pockets and they forgot to or figured out that they couldn't and they just shoved washers in. I don't know. It doesn't work though, and it sucks because I really, really wanted to speak highly of this knife because it looks so cool. TAS Knives is a crazy designer, and this is a fairly reasonable version of the knives he makes, especially at this price point, under $100. I'm like, man, I was crossing my fingers that this was going to be a big win of a knife, and it is just a fail. And then I thought, well, maybe I just need to do some hand tweaking on it and I'll get it up and running. And that hasn't really worked out. It's just not a good knife. So I can't recommend it. Now, maybe I got a bad one. Please, if you have one of these or if you've handled it, comment down below if you've had a different experience. Because if I get enough people saying, dude, you just got a bad one, you should have sent it back. They're great knives. Mine works perfect. I'd like the design enough. I might give it another shot. But as it stands right now, there's just no way I would do that. It's just not a functioning knife in my opinion, even for the money. So if you do have one, if you've experienced one, let me know what your experience is like. And check these screws. I want to know if yours is running good. Check these screws. See if they are snug and tight. Because when I got this out of the box, these were super loose. The second I tightened them down, you could not even open this knife. It was a big problem. So, all right, guys, that's it. What a dud. What a shame. Comment down below. Catch you guys later. I'm out.